Yeah. On behalf of the CSR family, I warmly welcome our Honorable Speaker and DG Ma'am. Let us welcome them with a huge round of applause. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the 19th CSR Amrit Lecture. Since its launch in May 2023, the Amrit Lecture Series has been enriching CSR's research, innovation, and technology ecosystem by serving as an effective platform to celebrate and disseminate the wisdom of India's top science, technology, and industry leaders. Our Amrit Lecture Series has consistently been graced by distinguished and visionary speakers whose ideas have inspired, challenged, and shaped our minds. Continuing this proud tradition, we are honored and delighted to have amongst us Padma Bhushan Shri Baba Kalyani, Chairman and Managing Director of Bharat Forge Limited and Chairman of the Kalyani Group of Companies, to deliver our 19th Amrit Lecture on the theme India 2047, Roadmap Towards an Innovation-Driven Economy. At this juncture of India's economic development trajectory, this topic is absolutely relevant, especially so for CSIR, as it aligns with the organization's mission to drive scientific research and industrial innovation for national development. As India envisions becoming a global innovation hub by its centenary of independence, the insights from this talk will help CSIR sharpen its focus on emerging national priorities and strategically align its R&D efforts with the country's long-term developmental goals. Thank you sincerely, sir, for graciously accepting our invitation. It is a true honor for us to have you amongst us, and it is absolutely a delight to welcome you. Thank you so much, sir. I request DG Ma'am to kindly extend a hearty welcome to our honorable speaker. With the plant named Syngonium, which has been provided by CSIR IHPT, fabricated using CGCRI's technology. I now request DG Ma'am to kindly.
Namaskar, Vanakkam, and pleasant afternoon to each and every one of you. Today is a very, very special day because it is the 19th Amrit Lecture. And we are having with us the most sought after industrialist or a leader or a visionary planner or a successful, I would say, leader in the field of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I should say, number of fields. So such a great, versatile personality is the chief guest, and he is going to give us the CSIR Amrit Lecture today, Baba Kalyani ji. Ji, I am also joining with Dr. Rama in welcoming you, and I fondly recall the very first time I met with Baba Kalyani ji. So I was a scientist at that point of time, and sir visited CSIR, Central Electrochemical Research Institute, and he asked very pointed, maybe some half a dozen questions. You raised the questions and you left the institute, but those questions really made a lot of changes which you may not be knowing. The kind of instructions we got from different angles, and really it helped us in a major way. So Baba Kalyani ji, I have only one request to you. This is one platform wherein you are seeing only a small auditorium which is filled with maybe around 175 plus audience here. But my 10,000 members CSIR family is listening to you. And this is live streamed, and therefore whomsoever is not able to make it today, they will also be able to listen to your talk in the coming times also. Friends, I can tell you only one thing today, as usual, out of curiosity, even though I know what is Bharat Forge, I just wanted to know what is the definition of Bharat Forge by Google. So I simply said Bharat Forge. How Bharat Forge is getting defined from Google's angle, I just wanted to know. So Google says Bharat Forge is, see the opening statement itself. It is a global manufacturer. So it is very much impressive, global manufacturer of what? High performing. Again, then laptop goes up, high performing. Then they say critical. Then more curiosity. Then the third one is security related components. So that's all this one line defines their existence, their relevance, their importance, their significance, and their unshakable role, not only in Indian scenario, but in the global arena. I think that is the real merit of any industry, any organization. And then I just wrote CSIR. What Google says, I just wanted to know. What is CSIR from Google's viewpoint? So Google says, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research is a premier research organization which is having the ambitions of fulfilling the country's requirement from science and technology related requirements. This is what Google says. Now I want Google to redefine CSIR in such a manner. CSIR is a globally known, premier, unshakable, high performing. All these words I want Google to add. Who can I order Google to do all these things? It's not possible. So who can do that? Who can bring in this kind of a change? It's only you and me, those who are a part of CSIR family. We should now make Google to redefine CSIR in the way it is defining Bharat Forge as on date. So I think this is my message to my CSIR family. And you can say, ma'am, you are also trying well level best in sending the messages from different angles which are known to you. So you may be getting bored out of Kalaiselvi's message. Therefore, I thought that instead of Kalaiselvi singing the same song with the different kinds of ragas and alapnas, I think it's better a very visionary leader from a totally different platform, that is industry. Because in CSIR, I stands for industry. And all the time we proudly say that we are working for industry, we are working with the industry, we are all the time working for the requirements of industry, we say. But many a times, I also told him the moment Baba Kalyani ji entered, he gently refused lunch because of time. Then I just asked him, what do you want to have? He just asked for a tea. Then I offered him the tea. Then I said, so Kalyani ji, I'm thinking that I have offered you the best tea. But I do not know whether it was really best from your viewpoint. I do not know. Research is also of the same time, of the same thing. We are doing the best from our end and we think that, yeah, I have done my best and I'm really living up to the expectations of the industries. But do we get the echo from the other end? Whether any time industry came and told, whether any time they came and gave a pat on our shoulder and said, yes, you are living up to my expectations. So we have to ensure those kind of things, for which we should understand the language of the industry, expectations of the industry, what are their prime pointers, what is it that they want, what are their specifications. So to know all these things, next 1 hour will really help us in a major way, that what Indian industry requires, anticipates, expects CSIR to perform, by means of which the gap between or the gap in understanding the industry's requirement from the CSIR's viewpoint will get minimized and it should be nullified in the coming times. So Babaji, with this kind of a simple request, I'm just requesting you to please enlighten the 10,000 member family with your thought process, by means of which we will try to take at least a portion of your advice, and we will also stand corrected from now onwards from the industry's expectations. With these few words, once again, today I'm so happy. The auditorium is full. The magic behind is known to me. Number of reasons. One major thing is it is the effect of Baba Kalyani ji. So thank you so very much. And my CSIR labs, 37 labs, please listen to this lecture and please go back with some very important takeaway points. Thank you so very much. Look forward.
Dr. Kalaiselvi, Director General, CSIR, all distinguished directors, scientists, members of CSR fraternity, both who are sitting here as well as who are listening to this talk from various laboratories. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be in front of you. I can tell you that combined your knowledge is about 1,000,000 times more than my knowledge. So I'm not a scientist. I'm an engineer and a practicing entrepreneur and a professional. So I value this opportunity. Thank you for inviting me. I have headlined my talk as contribution of science, technology, and research towards an innovation-driven economy. And the reason for this is that for many years, our economy was never innovation-driven. It has largely been driven by factors or a factor-driven economy. So whether it's low wages and wage arbitrage as one factor, or some other raw material resources that we have as another factor. And I can give you endless examples of how we have kind of traversed the wrong path for many years, running a factor-driven economy rather than an innovation-driven economy. It's only after Prime Minister Modi took over and he started this whole fantastic program of Make in India in December 2014 in Vigyan Bhavan, where all the ministries were present. Many of us from industry were present. It was a whole day program, and it was not giving lectures or giving talks, but we were told, we were divided in groups and told, please draw out a plan of how you can convert India into a better economy, a more innovation-driven economy, how you can create India to become an Atmanirbhar nation. That's when it all started. It's 11 years after that, and I think we have made tremendous progress. A lot of that is also a tribute to institutions like yourselves, industry, and everybody else who works in creating economic value in our country and in our system. So starting with that, what exactly is India at 2047? And where are the opportunities? You've heard a lot of television talks, right from the Honorable Prime Minister to everybody else, talking about we want to be a $30 trillion economy or a $25 trillion economy. All kinds of numbers have been floated around. But the problem is, we can float numbers around. We also have to float the roadmap to achieve those numbers. Because without a roadmap, numbers don't mean anything. Even if I'm running a simple organization or a company, we have numbers, we have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Nowadays, because of all the technology tools that we have at our disposal, which we didn't have 30, 40 years ago, we are able to do a lot of prediction in terms of what's likely to happen. But then out comes the new president of the United States and he floors all your predictions down the drain almost, because he changes the whole logic of reasoning. So we are living in this kind of world, and it's not easy. By no chance it is easy. But one thing that doesn't change is the laws of physics. They don't change. So for the scientific community, I think that is the greatest advantage you have, that the basic laws don't change, and therefore you can use that to create any amount of products, any amount of new things using knowledge. So let's start. So aspirations of India at 100, that is 2047. We are looking at, these are my numbers, so everybody can have his own numbers, but there is a logic behind these numbers. It was not just pulled out out of the sky. We had a lot of deliberation with all the industry partners and CII and FICCI and all kinds of people. And it is a combined, let's say, brain power and conclusion of all the senior partners in industry that this is what is likely to happen and this is what we want to aspire to be at 100, India at 100, which is 2047. So we are looking at a GDP of anywhere between 30 to 35 trillion dollars. Let's say 30 trillion. Let's not be very ambitious. We are currently at about 4 trillion. There are companies in the West who have a market capitalization of 4 trillion. Okay, NVIDIA, for example. And there are many other companies, a little less than 4 trillion, but they are there. So it is not absurd to assume that a country of 140 billion people can achieve a 35 trillion dollar value of its economy in the next, 22 odd years. So it's like a 10x growth, 8x growth, something like that. One area which in this economy which needs to grow at even a faster pace is the manufacturing sector. It's the manufacturing sector that is going to create the jobs of our youth. That's our biggest advantage that we have in this country, our demographic advantage. There's no other country in the world that has an average age of about 29. India's average age is 29 today. I don't see too many 29-year-olds in this auditorium, but that's the average age. So my one recommendation to Dr. Kalaselvi is that get some younger people. So if you look at, and you've heard Honorable Prime Minister say many times in terms of vocal for local and zero defect, etc. And these are important themes. Whether you are in agriculture, you are in floriculture, you are in industrial products, you are in electronics, it doesn't matter which product you are. These are kind of values that we need to imbibe in our society if we want to become an industrialized nation with a large economy. It's extremely important. So which are the sectors that provide the largest economy in the next 22 to 25 years? The largest growth will come from the automotive sector. This sector will grow 20 times of what it is today. So if you are connected with the automotive sector in any which way, this will grow. At the same time, this will undergo a massive change of technology, going from IC engines, the ICE age, to the electric mobility age. And in electric mobility, there are all kinds of things. There is driverless, autonomous. I mean, you name the number of technologies that are involved in that. It's just amazing. So that is going to be a $2 trillion business. And in the manufacturing sector, you have to remember one thing. If a segment generates 100 as the revenue, the multiplier effect of that 100 is normally anywhere between 5 to 10 times in terms of all the other ancillary activities that get generated. The next business that's going to grow is going to be metal, steel. Not just steel, but metals. I put steel as a generic word, but it's going to be metals. Steel will be the major metal that will grow. China produces over 1.1 billion tons of steel, 80% of world steel production. In 1990, China and India were producing the same amount of steel. That is how many years ago? 35 years ago. We were making the same number of cars in 1990. We had the same GDP. And look at where they have gone in 35 years. Next will be textiles, pharma, medical devices, telecommunication. This is one area I think we have done extremely well compared to the rest of the world so far. And of course, unmanned systems. We call it drones in general, but all unmanned systems, air, land, underwater. And if you want to achieve this, then I think everybody has to work with a common purpose. You have to break silos. The only time I have seen silos being broken was 2020 when COVID hit us. It was amazing what our country could do at that time. Amazing how the Prime Minister created groups of people, broke all silos, and the output that we were able to produce in a few months. From a point where we didn't even have our own PPE kits, to a point in a few months where we were exporting PPE kits. So that's important. We are at an inflection point today, and the only thing that is going to take us forward is the science and technology ecosystem that our country has, which is CSR being part of that ecosystem. Industry is another part of that ecosystem. The technical universities, colleges that we have are another part of that ecosystem. DRDO and the defense labs, that's another part of that ecosystem. So you have multiple ecosystems that are involved in taking the country forward in terms of science and technology. And this is extremely important for us. Of course, whether it's biological sciences, chemical sciences, physical sciences, engineering, information, you have these 9 themes that you have created in CSR. I think they're spot on, and I think they are going to be the main focus where we will see growth coming in. You should have one aspiration as members of CSR, as the labs of CSR or each of these 9 directors. CSR must contribute 1% per annum to the GDP of this country. Now, everything has to have a measured output. This should be the measured output of CSR. And you do that for 22 years, on a cumulative basis, on a $4 trillion economy, 1% is roughly about 40 billion. On a $35 trillion economy, 1% is roughly about 350 billion. And you accumulate that, that's a lot of economic activity that you are going to enable get generated. So that should be the kind of target that one must put in CSR and have the ability to measure this going forward. I'm very happy that Dr. Kalai Selvi, when she took over, she brought the eye back into CSR, because that was kind of missing at one point in time. And I think that's the right thing to do. I have visited a couple of CSR labs. We work with some of the CSR labs, especially NML in Jamshedpur, because it's connected with metals and metallurgy. And I can tell you that, as a nation, we should be proud of the scientists that we have. We should be proud of the work that they do. We should be proud of what they are capable of. But we should not be proud of the processes that we we adapt them to work with. That's one big problem that we have. the processes that we have. I had a little talk with your Director General before this, your GFR process. I can't believe that a research institution should have somebody controlling how much money you're spending on what. I mean, you are selected to do research. I think you have already gone through a lot of processes in terms of selection. And your job is to produce physical research. Your job is to produce scientific research. Your job is to produce research that, and your job is to be developed into products, patents. I think you're measuring patents now, which is a good thing. So this is one of the problems that we have where processes need to change. You also need to put a strong focus on the strategic side of what this country needs. Energy security, defense security, nutritional security. I know you're already working on many of these areas. But let me give you a couple of examples. There are products that we make. There was an article written by Mr. Sanyal, who was the economic advisor to the Prime Minister recently, I think in the Economic Times, where he said marine engines is a product which can throttle our economic growth because there are only few manufacturers of marine engines for large ships. And if they stop giving you those engines, you can't make ships. Whether ships for the Navy or ships for general transport. Now, as a country which is so large with such a large coastline, you can't do without shipping. You can't do without the shipping industry, or you can't do without a big Navy. So these are the kind, and there are many such. I can list you products after products where we don't have Indian technology. And this is an area where technology needs to be created, developed, and provided for industry to mass produce. So the new approach that we need to undertake is allocate something for basic research, but allocate a larger amount for translational research. This is very, very important. We are in a phase of growth in this country where unless research gets translated into science which can generate products, we are not going to be anywhere. And with everything that's buzzing around AI, and I don't want to talk about AI because that's the buzzword everywhere, and I think all of you know the good and bad of AI. But is at least something that levels the playing field in terms of knowledge for everybody. You can ask a question to any of the apps that are available. There are about more than a dozen apps or maybe even more on AI. And you get an answer. You may not be very educated, but if you have the ability to ask a question, you will get an answer. And that sometimes is frightening because people can get hooked into that and stop using their own brains. So that's the negative side of that. We also need to create our own intellectual property. I'm very happy that your Director General is focusing on patents, and I think that is important as far as India's growth prospects are concerned. So these are your 9 theme directorates that you have created, which are, I think, excellent. And as far as industry is concerned today, aerospace, electronics, these are areas where industry is investing in a big way. I mean, large part of the semiconductor mission, the electronics industry is all private sector investments coming up. The government of India has opened up the aerospace sector to the private sector. The new fifth generation fighter program is going to be produced by the private sector. And that also in 5 years. There is a lot of work that is going on in the area of chemicals, petrochemicals, earth, oceanography, water. We ourselves in our company are now producing unmanned systems to plot oceans. Not just to plot oceans, but also to be able to detect who is moving in our oceans. We call it whales, but you know what whales are. But it's a very new technology field. It's based on acoustics and acoustics technologies. And it's very different than normal fields. But we are doing it. There are other companies who are doing it. So there's a lot of work that is going on in this area. Healthcare is another area that's going to grow at a very fast pace because of the ability to use artificial intelligence in terms of collating data and predicting what is likely to happen to a person's health based on his data, his or her data. And then mining minerals, metals, and materials. And we suddenly have discovered that we don't have rare earth. So we are running around the world trying to find rare earth. Now, this is something we should have foreseen 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So how do we create models that can foresee what we are going to require to create an economy from a $4 trillion economy to a $30-35 trillion economy? What are the new materials that we need? What are the new technologies that we need? How do we create them? How do we develop them? How do we create models where we can work? Everything can't be done using research labs. Something has to be done using practical work. And that is something where I think industry, research organizations, technical universities, all of this has to come together to find solutions. The areas where I think industry is ready today to work with you is what I have shown in the yellow box. And I think any of those areas where I know some of your labs are working on have a seeking system that can go at a pixel level in a photograph, for example. I mean, these are kind of things where the need is required. It's also required for our security purposes. In terms of metals, right now we have been focusing largely on steel, a little bit of titanium, a little bit of aerospace type materials. But I think as we move in the future, you're going to see many different kind of materials are going to be required, although in small quantity, but required to make a product. Part of them are rare earth type materials. Part of them are going to be materials that are designed. I was, I'll come to that, I think somewhere here. Okay, this is your legacy. You can't have a better legacy than this, by the way, as an institution. I don't think any institution in India has the legacy of these founding fathers. Sir Arcot Ramaswamy is called the Arcot brothers. If you are from Madras, you will know. Very famous. And of course, Dr. Bhatnagar, the founder of India's science and research. So with this legacy, the expectation is extremely high from an institution like yours. I'll take you a little bit to some examples of how other countries build their industrial and economic powerhouse using industry. This is an example of the United States between 1939 and 1944. These three people, one of them, of course, is the President of the United States. William Knudsen was the President of General Motors. He was called by President Roosevelt to Washington and said, "You have to build me a military manufacturing machine. So you come and work for me in Washington at $1 a year salary." The guy at that time was getting a six-figure salary from General Motors. He was one of the most sought-after executives. And Henry Kaiser was a person in California who was building merchant ships, small merchant ships for shipping goods. So these two guys got together in Washington. They left their jobs, they came there, worked for President Roosevelt, got hold of many other people from different companies, and turned all the factories that were producing cars, refrigerators, steel, many other things into making aircrafts, ships, submarines, warships, artillery. This was all for the war machine, especially because Winston Churchill and the French president had made a request to President Roosevelt to say, if America doesn't supply us hardware, we will lose the war and Hitler will take over Europe. That time it was not just Hitler, as you know, it was the axis of evil. Hitler, Mussolini, and the Emperor of Japan on one side. And they did this, and what they produced in 5 years. Okay, 324,000 fighter aircrafts. We have not been able to produce more than 8 fighter aircrafts in 5 years. $141 aircraft carriers. We take 15 to 16 years to make one aircraft carrier. 8 battleships. These are big battleships. If anybody has seen the movie The Battleship, there's a ship called Missouri in that. And so on and so on. 203 submarines. To do this in 5 years, and to do it with the private sector in the United States, converting factories making automobiles into making aircrafts, factories making Frigidaires into making all kinds of these kind of products, would have taken some tremendous amount of innovation, scientific thinking, research, and all kinds of stuff that goes into this. And I'm sure you've heard of the Project Manhattan that happened during that time. which was, of course, led by the scientific community of the US. So this is what is possible. And this was possible in the age when there was no internet, there was no CNC machines, there was no computers, there was nothing. Everything had to be done by hand. Basic engineering. But they did this, and this is what made America a superpower. Nothing else. Similar things happen in other countries. In the United States, because of this, the US economy grew by about 13% a year. Quite amazing. After the war, the US put a reconstruction plan for Germany and Japan, as you know. And Germany grew by 7% a year, built a very large manufacturing-based economy based on machine tools, on cars. They were banned from making any military products, so they could not make any military products that they made during the war. So they had to go completely to civilian products. Similarly, Japan, 1956 to 1973, a 9% growth rate for all those years, almost 17, 18 years continuously. And they focused on automotive, electronics, and created completely new industries out of nothing. They were also banned. Japan used to make aircrafts. Germany used to make aircrafts. They used to make submarines. They used to make all the military hardware that the US used to make. But they were banned from making it. But they created completely new industries using a lot of science and research work that Japanese institutions were doing at that time and working with their universities. Of course, tremendous help from the governments and tremendous help from the US system. If you look at today, this is the kind of chaotic picture that we have today in front of us. We have a highly volatile world order. President Trump made the deal with the European Union, which is 23 countries, with Madame von der Leyen yesterday on a golf course in Scotland. But the deal was done. Okay? We are the only country that is left without a deal now. Every other country has made a deal with the US. You would never hear that a US president would make a deal with the head of the European Union on a golf course. But this is today's world. If you look at the new geopolitical alignments that are taking place, the rapid change that is being driven by AI, actually you ought to say more agentic AI rather than AI, because AI by itself really doesn't have much power. And the new rising tensions that are beginning to take place. Russia has become a major threat for Europe. NATO has now agreed to increase defense expenditure to 5% of GDP. Now, what social problems that brings to Europe, only time is going to tell us, because their current expenditure on defense was less than 1.5% of GDP. If they're to spend another 3.5% more, something else is going to suffer. We have had our little battle with Pakistan, Operation Sindoor, very successful for the Indian armed forces and for our country. Now there's a war going on in Thailand with Cambodia. I mean, one would never have thought that Thailand and Cambodia would have a war. is a country that you normally go for a holiday. And, there could be a new war coming up in Eastern Europe, Azerbaijan, Armenia, all kinds of countries that are not very happy with each other. So we have a lot of rising tensions in the world. There are 31 countries in Africa that are at war today. I have not taken that example because there's a small war, a little warlords fighting with each other. This increasing military spending by NATO, now they are coming against a big wall of a problem. And the wall of a problem is they know what to do, what to make. They don't have the manpower to make it. They don't have the skills to make it. It's unbelievable that in Germany, they're running out of manpower. They're running out of skilled manpower. Same thing is happening in other European nations. So they want to now import Indian manpower to do these things. The same thing is beginning to happen in the United States. They want to increase their military output, so they have supplied a lot of their inventory to Ukraine. This last 3 years war that is going on, and they have started reproducing, and they are finding it very difficult to produce. So we have all these kind of problems, but this can also become a big opportunity for us as a nation. If we can get our act together, if we can get our industry and R&D together, if we can start looking at futuristic products and start making them, this can become a huge opportunity for India in terms of our economic growth. You have also a lot of new geopolitical alignments taking place. Now, with the European deal done with the US, I think things between US, Europe, and NATO will all become much better. But that will now put Russia and China together, along with North Korea, Iran, and all those kind of problems. So there is a never-ending geopolitical crisis that is going to take place in the next, at least the next 4 years till President Trump is the President of the United States. If we get somebody as good as him, then it will continue for a longer period of time. Where does that leave us in terms of where do we need to go? In today's world, a country's competitiveness, its geopolitical power is purely determined by its scientific knowledge, its technological knowledge, its innovation capacity and capability. It's nothing else. It's not defined anymore by wars. It is defined by how NVIDIA can design a new chip and make it a, $2 trillion value. That is how, so it's pure science and research. Now I think that's something we need to understand. So we need to stop working on things that don't have value. We need to start working on things that create high value. You have the ability today to think what future needs. And future is not next 50 years. Future is next 10 years, next 20 years. And we need to focus sharply our attention on what that next 20-year needs are. Some of them I have defined. Some of them I'm sure you can define thinking through. But clearly, tech leadership, I think that's a barrier we will not be able to cross. So we shouldn't spend too much effort on creating tech leadership. We put effort to create tech capability, but no need to start competing with China and the US on tech leadership. The only way we will create tech leadership, if what President Trump is saying, that he doesn't want the tech companies to hire Indians, and those Indians come back here, then we might certainly get a bonanza. So let's see. AI, I think all of you know, is understanding we don't have to create AI, it's already there. We need to create applications. And if we are good at creating applications, with all our young, skilled people, engineers, our STEM graduates, etc., that is the future. That can create tremendous value for India as an economy. In the area of materials, we clearly have gone to sleep for the last 50 odd years. We need to wake up and we need to understand the value of materials. For us, exporting iron ore was the best thing we could ever do. Not understanding that that same iron ore, if converted to a product, is 1,000 times more value that it can accrue to you than iron ore. And we are giving that iron ore to China, and they're converting it into products and selling it back to us. So we need to stop that. Rare earths, I don't know. I'm not a geoscientist or geo specialist, but I'm sure a country as large as India, there will be rare earth somewhere. You just have to find ways to extract it, mine it efficiently at the right cost. Again, that's your area of work. Okay, green energy, I think we're doing a lot, but there is still a gap to be transversed. We still don't understand how to make the ingots very well and process them very well. The last point, we are the best in the world today, is skilled resources. We're the highest number of skilled resources available anywhere on this planet. Whether it's your research organizations, whether it's our industrial ecosystem, whether it's country at large. We just have to learn how to use them in an effective manner. Two weeks ago, in the US Congress, that was 20th June, sorry, not 2 weeks ago, a month ago, the US Congress group of senators have outlined a plan called Freedom Force, the same thing that I talked about, what happened in 1939 to 1944. It's called Senator Vickers' plan. How to bring innovation back into the US system. The US manufacturing system has also got hollowed out. And I will talk in a few minutes about that. And they have the same problems that we have. How to cut red tape. This is an American senator's notes in the US Congress. How to unleash American innovation. How to create competitive pressure. How to modernize defense budgeting. Defense budgeting means the way they spend money on defense is crazy. And how to enable decisive action. This is like the GFR issue that I was talking about. If you got a weight sitting on top of your head like that, making decisive action sometimes becomes difficult. The US Congress is working on this very quietly. What you hear today is the noise Trump makes all over the place. What you don't see is what is happening below that. So every country is going through this process of change, which we also need to go through. Just one simple example. The US built in 1950 a nuclear submarine in 5 years. How long have it taken to build a nuclear submarine? Any idea? It's going on for 25 years. We talk a lot about our iPhones, how much iPhones we export. What is our value addition in the iPhone? 3%. Now, it says 5 to 6%, that's the Economist magazine, but actually, really, it's about 3%. Is this good enough? It's not good enough. Now, why is this value addition so low? A simple product like an iPhone, I'm sure everybody has one, this has about 5,000 technologies in it that you have to master. And out of these 5,000 technologies, 20% of them keep changing every year. This is the world of Apple. And now many others, not just Apple. But another simple factor, there are now two big iPhone companies in Bangalore. One Foxconn and the second one is Tata Electronics. And there's one big one in Chennai belonging to Foxconn. That's where these three plants together make all the iPhones that India makes. Do you know iPhones are produced for 6 to 7 months in a year? The remaining 5 to 6 months, the factories undergo a complete change for the next model. All the machines have to be changed. All the processes have to be changed. Now, this is where speed and agility comes in. Ability to make changes in your system at that pace. And one country that has benefited a lot from it and learned a lot from it is China. And it's a book that's worth reading. It's called Apple in China. The title is The Capture of the World's Greatest Company. How China captured this company without investing any money. Today, Apple cannot produce a phone without China and Chinese companies. And 5,000 different technologies. Even an aircraft jet engine that is used in AMCA's 5th generation aircraft has only about 350 different technologies. This little thing has 5,000 technologies. And because they are now increasing the capacity of their chips, it needs more power. And when anything needs more power, it generates more heat. And they want to make the phone smaller and smaller. So they are now generating a new technology for heat extraction called ionic heat extraction. But this has been one of the biggest benefits for China because Apple went bankrupt. Apple had no way to sell phones in the United States using their own technical processes. China came to their assistance, built up factories, built up processes, and that is how they captured Apple. They don't own Apple, but they captured Apple. It's a fantastic book to read. It's a very big book. This is our LCA. I think we should be proud that we are producing light combat aircraft. But we should also not be very proud of the amount of time it has taken and the level of production. I don't know whether you heard the Chief Air Marshal A.P. Singh talk about this about 15 days ago. I was with him on the podium. And he was very vocal with what HAL is doing to production. These are your programs. I think somewhere we need to take this to production. The demand is great in the country. The civil aviation business is going to keep growing. And I think India should use this boom to create its own passenger aircraft industry. This is one of your products that is now going to go into production, I believe. It is very good. And we need to see more and more of CSR products or technologies converted to products that really go into production. That is what is needed in India. Everybody knows about this. You played an amazing role in the COVID period, making a lot of equipments available. Even we never ever made a ventilator in our life, but we made ventilators during that period. This is some of our own product examples, okay? Of course, we work more with DRDO because defense equipments are largely designed and developed by them. This is one of the most advanced artillery gun designed by DRDO, produced by us. And the sad part of it is, I mean, it had gone through a huge number of trials, etc., for almost 6-7 years. But we now got an order from the Indian Army. It will get inducted next year. But last year, a European country bought guns from us, the same gun. So they were able to finish their whole process in 6 months, which takes our system 6 years. And, Europeans are not going to shortcut anything. Is another product that we have designed. It's the first time anybody has been able to make an artillery platform on a 4x4 truck. Artillery guns normally have a huge force that comes as recoil forces. So 4x4 trucks can't take it, but we have designed this. Again, Indian Army wants this, but there is no procedure available in the MOD to make this happen. But we exported 72 numbers to Europe. The idea of showing you all this is we are in a quandary on products versus procedure. And it's all connected with this GFR and all this heavy weight that is put on your shoulders to lift. And we've got to find a way to get out of this. Otherwise, progress here is not going to be as fast as we want it to be. So what do we want India at 2047? We want to be a products nation. We should have a product mindset. The Chinese have it now. Chinese used to be a service nation just 25, 30 years ago. They become a products nation. Just look at their automotive industry. They've beaten Germany completely out. The German automobile industry, which was the best in the world, is gone, finished. So we need to create capabilities, procedures, processes, where we can create scale, we can create competitiveness, and we can create right to win in the global markets. Dr. Kalaiselvi, when she introduced me and our company, she talked about Google. But let me tell you something else also. We started as a forging company, making components for the automotive industry. Today, we have pivoted and we make artillery guns, we make unmanned systems, we make drones, we make electronics, we are making servers for data centers. We do all kinds of things which we never even dreamt of 3-4 years ago. And we found that it's not so difficult. Engineers have a mindset. They can figure out how to make different things, how to design different products. And wherever we don't know, we come to people like you, your labs, DRDO labs. We go to IITs. We have tremendous collaborative effort that goes on. We have almost 500 people working, engineers working in our tech centers. Most of them are MTechs or some PhDs. And the speed at which we can make things happen is unbelievable. So in this world today and going forward, is going to be control of your intellectual property. Why we are able to export guns? Because we own the intellectual property. Nobody else can export guns because they don't own intellectual property. They get it from somewhere else. As simple as that. And we can do it at speed. I wanted to mention this. We are India's first multinational company, by the way. First company to become multinational in India. So I just want to end my little talk. I don't know whether I've taken more time. But I just want to say these 4 things. Let's make this country a products nation and an economy that's driven by innovation. Innovations, research, which comes out of our own system. And if we can do this, I think there is nothing stopping us from achieving the goal that the Honorable Prime Minister set, and which has almost become an aspiration for every Indian today. India at 100. So let's make a collective resolve to reclaim our glorious legacy and position India at the forefront of the emerging digital and AI age. Thank you. Jai Hind. Yeah, sure.
So we can have a quick Q&A. Give my
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Satish Pandey, working as a senior principal scientist in CSIR Central Road Research Institute. So at the outset, first of all, I am really thankful to you for giving such thought-provoking presentation. And you have very rightly pointed out that India, in order to become a developed nation by 2047, we should achieve a dream of product nation. So one of the major challenges, like being a scientist, which we face while promoting our product, is still in the government system or the procedural things. The reliance is largely on the imported aspects. So whenever we invent something and we are approaching different bodies, then the question comes whether it has been tested elsewhere, whether it has been utilized in other parts of the world. Then we have to say that we are the first, we are doing so. And so what is your suggestion in this regard, how, being a young scientist, how we should move forward in order to convince the different bodies across the India? Thank you, sir.
This is a mindset that we need to change in the country. The problem is not so much whether you have used it elsewhere. The problem, as one senior bureaucrat told me, I mean, a couple of them have told you, but I'll tell you, one senior bureaucrat told me. He says, if I have a paper in front of me where I have to sign a purchase document to a public sector unit, I sign it in 5 minutes. If I have same paper in front of me and it is for a private company, then I'll probably take 5 months. Okay? So I think it's a question of trust. The problem is we are all the same. We are all Indians. We want to work for this country. But there's a lack of trust. So when somebody tells you, has this product been used somewhere else? Okay, that is a lack of trust. So we need to break this trust barrier. I mean, I've said this at many forums, including the highest forums in this country, that the trust barrier in India has to be broken if India has to progress. And I was telling Dr. Kalai, we were having a cup of tea. I have met many of your scientists. I have met scientists from the DRDO. I have met many professors at IITs and all that. I mean, that brain power is just immense. If you in CSR, with your 10,000 odd scientists, were let loose without any burden of whatever you have in terms of process, your output will be at least 10 times more than what it is today. I mean, why do Indians go abroad and do so well? I mean, you know, how come Sundar Pichai is the head of one of the biggest companies in the US? Or for that matter, if you look at Microsoft, seven out of the magnificent seven, as they are called, 7 companies, 5 are Indian CEOs out of the magnificent 7. So we need to be very proud of that. We don't need to underrate ourselves. The problem is the system underrates us. And we need to get out of this underrating. We just need to be confident and just move. But I understand your question. It's a problem. It's a problem with all of us.
Sir, I could see central to the future of India, you have pointed out, the bureaucratic, the GFR framework that we have. And we have all been talking about it since independence. We have gone past 75 years. But this is one thing which is holding us back, but we have not been able to find a solution to this. So the first innovation should begin from there. And how do you do it? It's eluding us. Please throw some light on that.
Innovation should begin from there.
I think the best person to ask the question to is to your Director General.
He knows that I'll not give him the answer. That's why he's posing the question to you.
I have actually, she knows it. When I was a member of the CSR advisory board. Society, yeah. And the Prime Minister had called a meeting. I was the only guy who raised this question to the Prime Minister directly and said, sir, this needs to go. This is not going to create research if we have GFR in research organizations. He didn't answer, but of course we know what the problem is.
So I'm Vibha Malhotra Sahani from CSR headquarters. Just a comment on what you did say about basic research, moving from there towards translational research. So while basic research is the one that really feeds into what ultimately becomes translational projects and then translational research and then technologies, what do you think is the optimal balance between the two? You did mention 30-70, but...
I said 30-70,
yeah.
But I think this number will keep changing for the very simple reason that as technologies get more evolved and more intense with the use of knowledge, the whole digital systems that we have, the AI systems that we have, the ability to produce miniaturized things. You have the whole new technologies that will come up. So this will change because it will come back to fundamental research everywhere. Because you will have to, I mean, at the end of the day, we started by dealing with stones and clubs as our main warfare equipment, yeah, a few thousand years ago. And we translated that. Why did the British come and conquer India? Do you know? They came as a trading company, East India Company. And how come they took over a country so large? Because we were not 1.4 billion at that time, we were about 300 million. One simple reason, we didn't know how to make a gun. The technology of how to make a gun was not available in India. We knew how to make swords, spears, bows and arrows. And the Brits very quickly realized, so did the French, so did the Portuguese, that with guns, they can take over India. And when the Brits took over India, we controlled 25% of the world GDP. 25%. And when they left India, they left us with 1% of the world GDP. So it is technology. We somehow didn't invest in technology at that time.
A very beautiful lecture, sir, and we're all really very enlightened. In your slide, you very nicely mentioned that we should not be working in silos, right? Only then can we reach this innovation-driven economy and the dream of reaching by 2047, the Viksit Bharat dream. I see that when I look at the line ministries with whom we try to engage, there's a lot of inertia to work together. It requires a lot of effort to convince, and it's pretty tough. So what do you think is the nice mechanism to break these silos and bring all of us together to achieve this dream in a very unified manner?
You know what happened during the COVID period is a good example of what needs to be done, how to break silos. But the problem was they were driven, and therefore, nobody could ask questions about it. Now you don't have that top-driven process right now. I mean, how many things can one man do? So we have to figure out our own processes. The best process that I can think of is you need to start engaging with industry instead of engaging with ministries. You need to take initiative to start engaging with industry. Initially, you might find the experience not so good, because it takes a little time for industry to realize your capabilities. But I think that will pass fairly fast. And once they start recognizing that, it will be the other way around. The traffic will flow towards you. And that's what you have to do.
Any other question? Last.
Hello, sir. I am Shubham Saxena and I am a new joinee. So first of all, I would like to say we are really enlightened by your mesmerizing lecture. My question is, we are progressing in the field of science and technology day by day. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is penetrating in our day-to-day life at a high level. So I would like to ask, on the SEMI side of this thing, a lot of people are losing their jobs as well. Our workforce has to compromise with this technology. So how can we balance both things? Like we can adopt technology in a better way without affecting the workforce. Thank you, sir.
You know, I don't think that's going to be a challenge in India as a country, because we are 4 trillion economy today. You become 10 trillion economy, you're going to need, at least twice the workforce you got. So I don't think that's going to be a challenge. The challenge is going to be, what are the enablers for us to get to that 10 trillion? And from 10 trillion, enablers to get to 20 trillion. And from 20, how do we get to 30 trillion? Those enablers are all sitting here, and your colleagues and people in industry, engineers, scientists, physics, chemistry. Those are the enablers. If we learn how to use them more effectively than what we are using today we are using basic laws of physics. We need to move into far more complex systems, far more complex scientific problems. I mean, I was very impressed. I met some people who make phones, and they said we have a problem of how to extract heat from the phone as we put chips with much higher capacity, because that draws too much power. And then somebody came up with this idea, I don't know, somebody at MIT or Stanford somewhere, that instead of using conventional heat exchange systems, use ion transfer. That means you're working at atomic level. And surprisingly, it works. When you transfer ions, there is the exchange of energy. And you can use that energy to absorb energy or to give out energy. So the solution lies with us. The solution lies how fast. If China could capture the largest company on this planet, Apple, by doing things that they were not able to do in the US at a price point. I mean, it was all invented in the US. But they couldn't do it at a price point. And it is not just labor. It's not just cost of labor. It's also cost of innovation, ability to think differently, ability to work harder. So I think all those things need to come.
Sir, it's been an extraordinary opportunity for all of us, to learn from an industry leader who continues to drive technological advancement and industrial transformation and innovation. I would like to request each one of you present here to put your hands together to once again thank sir. Oh, please.
So, sir, I thought that I should not interfere, but I'm not able to control my anxiety or curiosity. Friends, I think we thoroughly enjoyed the very enlightening part. At least 2-3 points you made very clear to all of us, sir, that we cannot even forget throughout your lifetime. Because you started in your own style that you included. Thanks for taking CSIR slides into your presentation. So I could find that, so the society member, you are not only following up our progress, but also you are taking into consideration of our slides also. So Mahesh, I think we have to take extra care hereafter in making slides, because society members are following even slides. So, sir, now you made all of us to understand one point very, very clear, that when we talk about this 30 trillion or $35 trillion economy, which is 8x or 10x, let us take it as 10x. You made us to understand that this 10x is doable by targeting few areas wherein 15x, 12x, 20x, and 50x scope is there. So you made all of us to understand one point, that if at all you want to make this 10x possible by 2047, first of all, you have to identify what are the areas you have to really concentrate in. This is where you made us to understand that automobiles is one such area, healthcare is another thing, then defense related equipments and components are also equally important. Also, you gave us a very good story that even though it was also realized by many Indians, if at all we have to realize our own strength, or if at all we have to come up with a totally different mechanism, we need either war or pandemics. So if war comes, then all of us will start thinking, okay, now all of us should work as a one team. And these are our requirements, and therefore we have to work very fast. And we forget about all the other things. Then we come out of our barriers and we showcase that as a team, we are able to do that. Same thing worked out for pandemics time also. But to give this kind of a self-realization, we should not invite wars and pandemics one after the other. So enough is enough. Number of wars you listed, actually that slide was a very painful slide, because you made us to understand what is the new geopolitical alignments. You use the right word. We cannot, because even it is something like a delocalized electron, but delocalized electrons always stabilize the benzene ring, because at one point of time the electron will be in between 1 and 2, then it will move from 2 to 3, then 3 to 4. But wherever it is, the basic job of the delocalized electron is, the electron will be delocalized, but it will make sure that the benzene ring is assuming its stability because of its delocalization, but which is not happening in the real-time scenario. You made it very clear, but all of us should really. But you made another point very clear to the researchers. There is no law which is changing. But all the time we just come up with a kind of a long phrase, ma'am, I was working on this technology, but the technology is now getting changed. This kind of a fast changing technology platform is not only a kind of a challenge, but it is the opportunity. You made that point you nailed many points very clear. And also you said that at that point of time also in 1940s also, immediately after Second World War also, the government believed on the industries, so they called the GM person as well as the shipbuilder. Sir, I also fondly recall once upon a time our country was also very popular in shipbuilding, but now sir, with kind of after maybe 70 years or 80 years, now we are trying to find out, can we really have some kind of a control over ship management? Can we have some kind of a control over port management? Can we really think about where and all this ship related, we are not now also not thinking about ship building. We are talking about ship related waste management techniques only. So where we were and why we are thinking like this. You made all of us to understand that point also. And again, you made another very important by taking your own company as an example. You never waited for India or Indian army or Indian military or Indian setup to accept your product. But by the time they are making up their mind, you already finished 70 exports, 70 units exported to other countries. I think that is the spirit, and this is how we have to work. So I think, Satish, you got the point. So instead of waiting for Indian roads, you already targeted only one US road. So you were talking about roadmap, but Satish will definitely chase you with his road technology. So you can ask, so who are all following? He will give a mix of India as well as global. That's why I'm telling you, sir, CSR also, we started realizing the importance of pitching in a global arena for our technologies, for their acceptance, appreciation, and implementation. You can ask me what is the success rate. I don't want to say anything because the number is not significant as on date, but you have given us the target. So now my 10,000 member family, the target is already given by the great Baba Kalyaniji. He has given it in one line. It is 1% of GDP of India. So when it is now itself, we have to make up our mind because now it is only $4 trillion economy. Therefore, 1% is a small number. And in another 23 years, it is going to be $35 trillion economy. Then the 1% is going to really grow, I would say exponentially. Therefore, now it is coming not from any person. it is coming from the CSIR society member. And therefore, we have to take this particular point as the tagline. This becomes our objective. From now onwards, you can ask, whenever we are talking about the roadmap should have this particular point. By what are the different methods and measures by means of which CSIR may be able to touch upon this 1% per annum of the GDP. Sir, your message is very clear. We learned many, many things, and silently you gave a pinching also that how many years we have taken for whether it is A aircraft or B aircraft. I'm not going to give the name also, but we are seriously working on now the second one also. You talked about 14 to 19 seater. We are now simultaneously pitching for 90 seater also. Please don't ask me within how many years I will be able to come out with a kind of a success. You know the number. So whatever number is coming to your mind, you please multiply it with n. N value I will disclose later. But after listening to you, I think I'm not trying to justify myself like this. Now I'm really thinking that I can also make my CSIR fraternity to understand that by taking you as the real-time example, because you are also there in same India industry, and you also go through the complete ecosystem. But without even any kind of an external funding support, you grew on your own and you got yourself expanded. And today you have proven your talents, and therefore now you are winning over the confidence of India also. And therefore this formula should be really taken into consideration by each and every one of us very, very seriously. Sir, I have no word which is known to me other than thanks. So thanks a million or billion or $1 trillion economy kind of a thing. I can give you number of $1 trillion thanks for the great time that you invested. Though we have listened to you for only 1 hour, I think you are leaving behind 1,000 questions. And these 1,000 questions are thought-provoking questions. Unlike Apple, thanks, you have not given 5,000 questions. And you made us to understand such a small Apple is having 5,000 technologies, whereas a big aircraft related technologies, only there are 300 plus new technologies. And therefore, now my NIL team should understand. So you can compare yourself with Apple. So 5,000 technologies within every 6 months, they are able to come up with a new revolutionary thought process. And we are taking 6 years and we are not able to come up with even 300 plus technologies. All these points are common for all the laboratories. Thank you so very much for the very, very enlightening talk. And thanks for all the great points that you are leaving. Maybe after 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, please visit CSIR and share your remarks. And at that point of time, maybe on a suitable stage or a forum, you can openly share your thought process, whether this talk of your Amrit lecture talk, whether it has given any kind of an impact on CSIR system or not. But my friends, I'm just giving this kind of an assurance by thinking that all of you will really help me to just take this homework very seriously, so that after 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, the same Babaji should be in a position to say, before even Google redefines, Babaji can really talk so many good things about CSIR, provided we take whatever points he has shared with us in a very, very true spirit of science, technology, and innovation. Thank you so very much, Babaji. And thanks to each and every one of you. Rama, please.
Thank you, ma'am, for summarizing the talk and, as usual, listing out the takeaways. I always call ma'am a deep seek. We don't need to Google. We have everything. Summary is ready, and the action points are also ready. Ma'am, it's time to felicitate our distinguished speaker with a shawl and a gift hamper, which is made by CSIR.
But a portion was done, not very done. This is the small box. So this is against one CSR in one box. And this is also
So on behalf of the entire CSR family, I express our sincere gratitude to Padma Bhushan Shri Baba Kalyani for honoring our invitation and for drawing up the roadmap towards making India an innovation-driven economy by 2047. Sir, your visionary insights have left an indelible mark on all of us, and we will actively capitalize on today's discussion and carry forward the energy and ideas for this session to accelerate India's journey towards becoming a global innovation and knowledge hub. Thank you once again for your time, vision, and gracious presence. Our gratitude to DG BAM for crafting this Amrit Lecture series. Thank you, DG ED, for coordinating this series. Thank you, SCDD and IT teams for broadcasting the talk across DSR family and to our broader viewers across the globe. Thank you, everyone, for joining Amrit Lecture today, both physically and online. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session to come next month. Request all to please be seated here. The refreshments will be served in this auditorium. Request our special guests, the HODs and CMDs, to join us, to join the dignitaries